Well, hello, everybody. Take two. Uh, Ron had a problem with his audio, so we rebooted everything and we're back a little bit later. The show must go on. Hey, it's good to see you. My name is J.R. Arsenault. This is Enjoy the Journey, and sometimes there's bumps on the journey. But you know something? Life is all about challenges and overcoming, and here we are. Take two, Ron Goodwin. How you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm doing great. So this reminds me of that quote that you don't drown when you fall off the boat. You drown when you stop swimming. So we're back on the boat. We're ready to roll.
Yep. One of the quotes I created years ago. You can lead a horse to water, but it's going to drown on its own. So anyway, hey everybody, here we are. A little bit late, but even better. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, or some euphemism like that. Ron Goodwin is a good man. He's got a good product in a good town called not Boston, but where's it's a
Called Cohasset.
Yeah.
Cohasset.
Yep. Which is on. What does it mean in Indian?
It comes from an Indian word, which was Quanahasset, which meant rocky shore.
Wow.
We're right on the ocean, and it's all rocky ledge.
So as they say, or I used to live in Massachusetts, everybody, a million years ago before the internet. So you're sort of on the North Shore?
No, I'm not sure where I am, but I'm on the South Shore.
Oh, the South Shore.
The South Shore, yeah.
It's so getting deeper here.
There's the North Shore and the South Shore, and they're two different places.
Exactly. Two different mindsets. Yep. Another euphemism, and we'll get right into the show. My grandpa, when I finally understand something he said, he always used to say, light dawns on Marblehead Harbor.
Yeah, right. That's so, an old one, yeah.
Anyway, we're making it happen here. Tell me a little bit about you've been in this business since 1976 or something like that.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's when I actually started the business a few years before that, but it wasn't a real business. It was just like a hobby side hustle thing. But then in '76, I started paying taxes and changed the name of the original name of the company was Fat City T-shirts, and then we changed it to GOODwin Graphics because I had some bigger accounts in Boston, and when you go in and say they'd ask what company you're from and say, oh, Fat City T-shirts, it didn't kind of have the. Nowadays it would go over well, but back then people were a little more stodgy, so to speak.
So was Fat City any connection with New Orleans with that Fat City, or was it?
No, it was kind of like one of the first shirts I made was Fat. So it's Fat City School of Fine Arts, because I don't know if you're familiar with the art movement back, the Dadaists, and they had this thing they call it found art, and Marcel Duchamp put a toilet in a art show back in the day in Europe, and they all went apeshit because they're like, what is this guy doing? Because back then, artists wore berets and they painted pictures that looked like real things, but that was the Armory show in Europe that changed. That was a big shift in art.
What year? Roughly?
I think it was the 30s, maybe, in 1930.
Yeah, that predated Andy Warhol, but that's
oh yeah,
whole mindset with the Campbell soup stuff and all that, and
right,
yeah,
right. That the pop art came after that, but he references that. But the Armory show is like a big deal. Duchamp did this painting. It's called The Nude Descending a Staircase. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh yeah,
but the critics at the time, they called that it looked like an explosion in a shingle factory. It was, the critic hated that stuff, but
Well, they couldn't. They were art and they were creative, but they were arty and creative as long as it was in the box. Anybody that they didn't understand Picasso and that whole movement, either. And
right.
it, I got that a lot with my stuff in the 70s and 80s. I'm a photographer, and it was just interesting it's interesting dealing with experts that don't know anything.
Yeah, right.
So,
All experts don't know shit about something. They might know their subject very well, but there's always something else that they have no idea about.
well, tell me now, it wasn't an easy ride because I mean, you started off doing t-shirts and stuff, but tell me a little bit about your challenges along
So
the way.
I didn't have any.
Oh,
Come on, JR.
it was
JR, where did you get this narrative that I have challenges and I had to overcome all this stuff? So as you grow, at least for myself, as I grow older and get a little, like I like to think I'm a little wiser, is
right,
the challenges at the time were devastating, and you thought, "Oh my God, this is I'm
right.
screwed." And
That's what
then
we're talking about.
and then a
Tell
couple of years after, you look back and you go, "That was nothing." What the fuck? And the other thing is, you tend to romanticize them, so it wasn't as bad as it was, and you tend, like at least I do, I try and forget the shitty parts of life, and but yeah, I had some challenges early on. It was mostly like getting the business off the ground was a little bit of a challenge because I had no idea what business is. I thought if I bought a shirt for $2 and sold it for $3, I was making $1. But in reality, you have overhead and all kinds of stuff, ancillary things. So you're not making $1. You'll be lucky if you're breaking even. But so that was kind of a challenge. And in the beginning, I didn't have a lot of money, so it was, I'd be borrowing from the bank to keep the company going, and that was kind of a challenge. But I didn't really have, that I can think of, like really big challenges. I mean, I remember there was a few jobs that like went south on us. There was one we did where it had a design, and one of the words, there was a letter left off the word, and I thought it was our mistake, and it was, I don't know, it's like 7,000 shirts.
wow.
So what we had to end up doing is we got a flashlight and we lined up the shirt on top of the flashlight so we could print that missing letter. So
Wow.
if you saw the shirt, you wouldn't know. It was like we had to Rube Goldberg it and do it overnight to get the job done for the following day. And then what we found out after the fact is that their artist had changed the colors in the proof, and that one letter, they never changed that color, but it wasn't so far off that your eye would pick it up looking at the proof. But when
Exactly.
you go to make the positives to shoot, then it worked out. And there was a time we did a job for Pepsi, and then we did the same job a year later, and in the meantime they had changed the logo and no one told us, and we did all the shirts with the older logo.
Yikes.
And the guy who was in charge of Pepsi, like we were doing the shirt for a charity, and Pepsi was one of their sponsors. And so I said, let me talk to the guy from Pepsi. I'll see if I can, we'll work something out. And he just said, no, we want you to reprint them all. And
Wow.
and he was the guy just wanted to, you know, show that he was in charge, and we worked something out. But that was kind of a, you know, I thought, oh my God, this is going to put me under. But it really, when I look back, it wasn't a big deal. It was,
Well, there's always something that happens, and what you said before about, you know, especially when you're starting out and you're going from job to job, and cash flow is whatever check cash that week or whatever in some cases. Anybody that's starting out bootstrapping, that's the way it rolls, and hopefully you get out of that mode real quick. Some people don't, and you know that's how the business fails. But it's those challenges of, it's not so much doing stuff wrong, because you got to learn, early on your mistakes. It's someone, I forget who it was, but he said, I wish I did all, maybe Jeffrey Gitomer, I wish I did all my mistakes when I was 20 and 21 and just got them out of the way, you know. And unfortunately I'm a slow learner, so my mistakes, you know,
yeah,
and then
repeat them a few times.
hey, you start growing. But in like, not to take over the thing here, but you know, I went from starving when I first launched in a desperate time to 18 months later I was doing 30 states business. And so yeah, you know, in one of the gospels it says that whether I'm in lack or whether I'm in much, I've learned to be happy. And but George Bernard Shaw said, I've been poor, I've been rich,
I
and rich is,
prefer rich.
and I prefer rich. Yeah, and rich is better.
Yeah.
So,
But getting back to that, we all suck at everything we ever did. When we start out, we suck. That's the way it works. You don't start out doing something good. You have to go from I suck, I'm good, to I'm great, or I'm, you know, competent.
yeah. What one of my, actually somebody just tuned in, this guy John Highland. Um,
Hey, John.
back he's from my Rochester days, God, 40 years ago. I love the internet and all this stuff, because you meet with, there's some people you kind of miss, and he's one of those cool guys in my past that, you know, you just take different paths and you're in different parts of the country, and we just haven't had time to hook up because he's on the north side of Charlotte, I'm on the south side of Charlotte, and you know, but
it's awesome that you can reconnect, and that's the good. You know, a lot of people talk down about Facebook and that it's just a bunch of people screaming at each other, but I've found there's a lot of great people out there, and and like you say, you reconnect with people you haven't seen in years, and I've done that, and it's
well,
awesome.
I've done that with well, even with Jeffrey Gitomer. I was involved with something many years ago with he's a famous author, y'all. If you haven't heard of him, you should. And if you're in sales, shame on you if you don't have any of his books. But you know,
what's his name again?
He watch it, Ronnie. He watches these things occasionally. But you know, we just reconnected after a couple of years of, yeah, exactly. Okay. Yep.
You know what that is?
What's that? That's a Jeffrey Gitomer ball.
Yeah. So this is the thing. You have sales questions. You turn it over, and the answer comes.
Oh my God, a magic 8-ball with Jeffrey Gitomer involved.
So if I go, how would I make more sales and get more, what do they call it? More, how would I become well known and better understood?
Yeah.
Go on JR's podcast.
Or good answer. Good, or write 18 books that are bestsellers on the New York Times list. That's not a bad way to do it either.
Yeah, right. No, it was interesting. He was talking this morning about once he wrote his book, the phone started ringing, and it hasn't stopped ringing since.
You know, it's
and
that's the whole purpose of what I'm doing here, and that's why I've got my good friend Ron Goodwin from Boston area. I've just connected with a whole bunch of people around the world. Uh, we were all locked up, especially March through May.
We're
What
not
the
going to talk about that, are we?
No, but I
JR?
mean, what the heck do you do? And what the heck you do is your life is on hold. It's time to find something new.
That was a misunderstanding with my probation officer. I wasn't supposed to be locked up. Why?
Well, if you wouldn't have taken that little ankle bracelet off, you might have been different, bud. What can I say? But
I
there's
wanted to go out.
so many wonderful people that we've met all around the world. These dudes with names I can't even pronounce, with little slashes, so in them, from Norway and stuff. And there's Charles Coachman.
Hey, Charles, how are you?
Rockin' Charlie from the West Coast. That's if you need real estate. Well, it's like, Ron, I was going to on the other thing that we had, to those just tuning in, we had a problem earlier with an audio, and so no. But anyway, we redid it. This is the new hybrid, So anyway, the bottom line is I had some cool banners on the other one that I fixed, and if they wanted to get something from you, Ron, because you not only make T-shirts, but you make Magic 8 Balls. You make everything that's imprinted and personalized. Where would they go?
So it's very easy. Just get in touch with me, and we'll figure out if it's a good fit. I don't know if I'm the right person for everyone, for everything, but I do know that I've been in this game for quite a while, so I could advise you if it's not a good fit. If you're looking for a couple dozen T-shirts, you might be better off to find a local guy to do it. But I could help you, tell you what the pitfalls are if you decide, I'm just going to order them online. So that can end up being a problem.
Yep. www.goodwingraphics.com.
No, it's cottonfeelsgood.com. Cottonfeelsgood.com.
Okay. That's good. Anyway, tell me, what do you do? I mean, other than print a bunch of wonderful T-shirts, what are some of the other things that you've gone into as far as product line? Because you do stuff, but you also source it from other. What are things you see coming?
So there's two kind of avenues that we go down. So the T-shirts and no, that's wrong. You got the wrong address. What the? I gotta.
Did I mess it up?
Watch you every minute. It feels like touch. Cotton feels good.
Oh! I'm
Cotton
sorry.
feels good. JR.
Oh man,
Cotton. That's not the first time that's happened. Don't worry. So
no, he's right. He's right. Okay.
What did you say? Can you call my wife and tell her what you just said? That was right. So we do the screen printing in-house, and we're not a big shop. I like to think we're like a like an artisan shop. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. So I've been eating and breathing T-shirts since '76, even before that. So I know more about T-shirts than anybody you know.
Probably.
And except maybe Richard Greaves knows more about printing T-shirts than me, but I go head to head with him as far as T-shirts themselves. So we do that here. We do a lot of road races and events and sports teams, and a lot of carpenters, electricians, and plumbers. And one of the things that's really been great about this business is that that, and this is going to sound like I'm being a kiss ass, but the people that I meet are just, it's awesome. It's unbelievable. Like I used to say, I'm gonna publish a little book, and my book will be the cell phone numbers of all the carpenters and plumbers and electricians. But and then the other like component is we do promotional products, which are the keychains and the coffee cups and that kind of stuff. And that typically we don't do in-house, but it's done through manufacturers all around the country. And I have, so the people who do that kind of stuff, typically, if they're professionals, they've been in it for a while, they belong to something called ASI, which is Advertising Specialty Institute. And what ASI does is it puts together the manufacturer with the distributor who would then sell it to the end user. So that whole thing's changing a little bit with the internet, because a lot of these manufacturers are selling direct. And but like anything else, there's pluses and minuses to that. And so we're like the guide for our better customers. We'll guide them through that process so they don't end up buying the coffee cups from Texas because they're 20 cents cheaper and finding out that the shipping's $2 more, you know. So
Yeah.
there's little things that that we've learned over the years, and that's so that's primarily what we that's what we do.
Yep. I mean, it sounds like you're mostly t-shirts, but
yeah, it's mostly t-shirts and wearables.
I just got this great coffee cup from him, and you know, it's got my company name on it, and it's got some handsome dude in a beret with a video camera or whatever. And you know, I mean, there's all kind of different avenues, but it sounds like your bread and butter, of course, is the screen printing stuff.
Right. So that coffee cup, there isn't another one in the world like that.
Oh my!
It's a one of a kind.
I wonder how much I can get on eBay. No.
and although we do sell coffee mugs, we don't. What we do primarily, we use that as a way to endear ourselves with our customers. So when you know, if you're a good customer, GOODwin Graphics, over time you get a coffee cup. And anybody who's listening to this who hasn't got that coffee cup yet, buy some more shit. We'll get you a coffee cup. But
we're working on OPM, other people's money.
Yeah, but the thing about the t-shirt business is it gives me a great opportunity to use my creativity. And there's Mark Gassett.
Oh, wait a minute. Look at.
So
Peachtree Corners, the peachiest part of Georgia, wants to know, are you a frugal? He's calling you a cheap bastard.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I told Gideon. I was a frugal Yankee. He said, yeah, that means cheap bastard.
Yeah. I remember that conversation.
So, but I'll tell you, being a cheap bastard has paid off, Gassett, because I never bought any equipment that I couldn't afford. I did do short-term loans to have operating capital, but I've had opportunities where people come in and they say, "Oh, we'll give you money and we'll take this to the next level," and I never jumped at that because that next level might be down.
The thing is, it costs $846.22 a day to stick a key in a door to begin with, and you don't want to put another $200 on it or whatever your cost factor is.
Right.
Because they're not thinking about you. I had a couple of those guys with me that wanted to sell me some big stuff, and you know, it didn't work out that way. And I own everything. I've always worked cash basis, and it might have slowed me down in some ways, but then I get into some real, without getting into it too much, cash flow things. And, you know, all of a sudden you got more dollars than cents. And then you got to watch out there because it doesn't matter how much you make, and it matters how much you got at the end of the day.
Right.
You know,
There's a great book. There's a great book by Michael Michalowicz. It's called Profit First.
yes.
He talks all about setting up your business so that you get paid first. And I've kind of use a lot of his principles because I'm a sheep Yankee. That I've always had that. But one of my Achilles heels was that not good at paperwork. It's just I'll be done, get it out the door, and then the customer pick it up and we'll send you a check, and then didn't happen. But so there was some lean times because of my fault, because I wasn't staying on top of them.
Yeah, I can understand that. At one point when I was doing mass market photography, I sort of invented preschool photography on location, and that took off. But, people give you checks, and I could wallpaper a wall with the checks, but it doesn't matter, the bad checks, but it doesn't matter because it was only 1 or 2% at the less than 1%.
It's part of being in business.
Exactly. Yeah. There's always going to be someone that's smarter than you, that's experienced in hustle and basically deceptive stealing shit. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to be aware of that, so I minimize it, but I can't walk in paranoid with everybody and be on a defensive with everybody, because it just doesn't, it's not how you build a business.
Yeah. Business is based on trust, and sometimes the customers just, they don't get it. They don't have the same ethic that you have, or they just, they get themselves in a jam, and they don't pay you because they didn't get paid from somebody else, and they think, oh, that's okay because they didn't get the money. It's like,
yeah.
But I'll tell you a little story. 35 years ago, I used to do shirts for a bar in Boston. It was an Irish bar, and probably I don't want to mention the name because they're still in business, but at the time they were doing like $4,000 worth of shirts every month, and we would do the shirts, deliver them, and they'd pay us when we brought them the next month's batch. So the reason I know it's 35 years ago is because that's how long I've been married. But the week before I was going on my honeymoon, they said, can we get terms from you? And I said, well, you're already getting terms because I'm collecting from the one before. But I wasn't thinking about business. I was thinking about my bride. And I said, yeah, we can do that. So then the next month came. So they got into me for like 12 grand because it was 3 months before we had a little reckoning. And I said, look, we got to get paid. And the owner of the bar says, look, we don't have the money. And I says, how could you not have the money? I just came from the bar. It's full of people. And he goes, well, I got 2 other partners. They're all hitting the till, and here's $1,000. And I said, this isn't right. So I went in with a couple of friends of mine. We had some fun and we drank. And then when the tab came, I said, I don't have any money. So the manager comes over and I said, you know me, I'm the guy who makes the t-shirts. You guys aren't paying for the t-shirts. I'm not paying for the drinks. So he goes, he got all grumbly and he walks back and he comes back. And then the bartender comes over, he says, you guys are all done. You shut off. You got to get out. So one of my friends he was a little over anxious guy, and he jumps up on the stool and he starts going, we don't want to even be in this dump, but you owe this man money and you better fucking pay him or you're going to have trouble. So with that, we leave. So the next day or the following Monday, the owner calls me up. He says, did you come in the bar with a couple of guys and one of them had a gun? And I said, oh, those two guys, they are professional. So if they had a gun, I'm sure they didn't brandish it, um, but they're the guys that you owe the whatever was down to 10 grand by then. I said, they're the guys you owe the 10 grand to. He goes, what do you mean? I says, I turned it over. I needed the money. He goes, well, you better call them off. I said, I can't call them off. The debt's with them. And the guy goes, you know, I'm connected with the IRA, and this could be a big problem. And you know, you don't know who you're screwing with. And I said, I'm not screwing with anybody. You're screwing with me. I had to make a deal with them, so it's between you and them. He called me the next day. He says, come on up, I got your money. And he gave me a brown bag. I'll never forget. He gave me a brown bag. It was close to 10 grand cash in it. And I thought I was going to get clocked on the head leaving his office. And it was fun. But at the time, it wasn't fun because I thought I was going to get screwed out of the 10 grand. But and they almost, that company, that barroom, they almost went out of business. But then I think some other guys came in and took it over, and they're still going strong today.
Nice. But, you know, I'm watching reruns, The Sopranos, and it sounds like so many of those reruns, you know? Hey, we'll send Rocco and Nunzio and Guido over, and you're going to pay us, and we're getting Vic on top of it. We got Ronnie G. Ronnie G needs his dough.
So one time this guy owed me some money. He wasn't a lot of money, and he was a good guy, and we kidded around a lot. So I called him up and I says, hey, this is Tony, and you know, I understand you owe GOODwin some money. You better pay him up pretty quick or there's going to be a problem. And I thought that was before caller ID, but I thought he would have seen through that because it was so corny. And 10 minutes later, he calls me up. He says, hey, I think I owe you some money. I'm going to come over with a check this afternoon. And I said, did Tony call you? And he goes, no, why? And he knew, I knew that because I was being Tony, but he couldn't admit it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
so
before
I had some fun. And
you know,
you gotta have fun along the way, JR. You know that.
Oh, absolutely. I do. I've got two things that I need to do. I need to help people and I need to make people laugh. Those are literally the two things that are my things in life. And if I'm accomplishing those, it's a good day, whether I've got Ronnie in my life that day or not. He's a good friend, but you know, you got to help people because what you get is what you give, and you don't give to get. You just give because it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
Okay, now I guess this was all a pretense. We're coming, but Mark Gassert wants to
know about Ruby. Ruby's my puppy. She's awesome. I have a yellow lab. Ruby's doing great. She's laying on the couch like you, Mark.
No. Hey, you know something?
Today's a good day. Do good.
Today's a good day.
And that guy you mentioned before gave me the idea.
Yeah.
Because he has a coin business card. You know, the author there. Get him up.
Yep. And you know, here's the nice thing about the internet. But for knowing Jeffrey, but for the internet, I would never have wonderful friends like you, Mark Gassert, Charles Coachman. I could just go down the list here of people, and they're people that every day contribute to my life in one way or the other. And just the fact we might not talk every day or even every week, but that we know each other's there. And if I had to call and if I needed to talk to you about something or whatever, gosh, my dad told me one time, if you have 5 friends, and I'm not bragging, but I'm just saying with the choices I've made in the past year or two, I can't count how many good friends I have because
Mm.
there's just so many wonderful people in this circle that I've sort of morphed into. And anyway, Ron, it's been an interesting what a long strange trip it's been, you know.
It's a little rocky on the start, but
Yeah, yeah, the Grateful Dead from way back when, and trucking, but it has been a long strange trip. But some people are so worried about everything. People, it doesn't matter what your political persuasion. One side's worried that the other guys are going to go take over DC. The other side's worried that it's the end of the world and everybody thinks it's the end of the world. And you know something? I don't know. I'm not that bright. I do know I'm going to talk to people like you and some of my other friends here, and I'm going to keep a good attitude, and I'm going to do what I want to do until I can't do it anymore and not worry about everything else because we got
yeah,
no control.
yeah. I told, Coach Phil. I think I said to him in his thing the other day that worry is, and I'm going to screw up this quote, and I don't even know who made the quote, but it's basically it's interest paid on a debt that may never come true. So the shit you worry about, 90% of it never happens. And you lie in
Exactly.
bed and you're worrying about this and about that. So you're prepaying off a debt it's never going to come due because it's not going to happen.
The what ifs will
And it,
kill you.
and to think that if you told me or you told anybody 2-3 years ago, our country's going to come to a screaming halt. We're all going to have to wear masks if we go outside, and there's going to be a disease that's going to come in and take out 400,000 people. You'd be worried sick. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And we're living through that. And as bad as it is, we're still thriving, and we're still, we're good. Not to minimize the people who have died, but the rest of us are still, still moving forward.
Yep. Well, the one guy that just left and he's down in Miami area now, he came up with all these COVID cures and stuff, all the vaccines. And the new guy that came in just signed 10 bills yesterday to facilitate distribution and, war defense effort which they probably should have done before. But, again, I'm not in charge, so no one asked me and I might not have thought of it. But
Yeah, but
it's just, it's good.
The economic, I watched the stock market on TV with Jim Cramer they're all saying, well, a lot of them are saying that we're going to be fine. We're going to come through this fine because the pent up demand is going to come in so strong. And, once we get people vaccinated and get this behind us, we're going to be fine.
The fundamentals are still there, and the country is still a bunch of great people that know how to do stuff. There's a lot of clever people, young and old. And I mean, America, I've been all over. New England obviously is one of my favorite parts because that's where I'm from originally. But there's wonderful people everywhere I've lived. And any place you go in this country, I mean, there's a couple places like I'm not too sure about Chicago, but and there's the south side of Boston, I'm not too sure about that either. Not your part, but go to Dorchester and stuff like that.
Oh, that's fine. My daughter lives in Dorchester. She's fine, and
yeah, you know what I'm saying, and I'm talking from 30, 40 year ago frame of reference. Also, now it's probably all real estate I can't afford there too. But
right.
there's so many wonderful people that that's one of the best things about life is just meeting people like you and these other schmoes and stuff, that everybody's different and we're all like snowflakes without getting into it too weird here. And everybody's beautiful in their own way. If you just stop and listen to their
Oh,
music, it might not be your music.
everything is beautiful.
Yeah, I know. It's getting bad here. It's getting deep.
Oh boy, what the? When
But,
I was
but it,
listening to Hendrix, you were listening to what's his name,
oh
John
no, no.
Sebastian.
I was listening to Frank Zappa. I was listening to Frank Zappa and stuff like that, man.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I cried the day Jimmy died. That was my freshman um whatever orientation in college, and first day in college, and he died, you know. And somebody said, well, who are you into? You know, you talk about music back then, and it's like, you know,
Yeah.
move the hair out of the face. I know, use your imagination. And I'm like, well, man, you know, I'm really like into Hendrix. He's like, oh man, it was so terrible. He's like dead. And I'm like, what? And, you know, it's just
Oh
the,
yeah.
the old, you know, fabulous furry freak brothers revisited, right? But it was really good talk, Ron. We finally got it together. And
Well, maybe you have. I'm still working on that. That's a work in progress.
well, listen, hang out in my green room for just a minute. I'm going to talk to these people, and we'll be right back to you. Well, that was my friend Ron. And the thing about live is you never know what's going to happen. And there's always something going on that's unpredictable. But I will predict this. I'll have more great people. I'll get better. I'll hopefully be more interesting every time and more polished. But my commitment is to bring people with different stories to tell their tale and their flavor and their encouragement. People are so confused in some areas right now about different things. And yeah, I'm a little apprehensive myself. But the thing that I'm not apprehensive about is if I take control of my life and if I work hard on it, everything else seems to work out. Come with me on this and enjoy the journey. What I'd really like is comments. I love comments, and we'll follow up and suggestions. And even more than that, if you could grace me with a like or a subscription, I promise it's going to get more and more interesting. We've got some really good people lined up. It's never going to be the same. There's a bunch of different people. If you've been following me, you know what I'm saying. Thank you for taking the time, and I hope you enjoy the journey.